we read this Ganatra's point and the letter. No, but it was the Kamal Krishna Maharaj's point, right? About pretending. That's what we discussed quite a lot last time, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu.
yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
I think we ended with that
So
letter.
yes,
To
yes.
start
Now
with
the
dealing with Mrs. Nair.
yeah, now the real thing starts here. So Nair is dead. Now his wife is there, and she is very upset that he has passed away, and that grudge is also there. So Prabhupada is very powerful and famous by them. He's becoming well known in the circles. So you see that uh, he has all these other, though the devotees are all from outside India, foreigners, India, but they are no mean people. They can easily they can uh, they can work on things very shrewdly. So let's read from dealings with Mr. Nair. Who is going to read it now?
Prabhu, is the book visible on the screen?
It is right
Okay.
now the first two lines from the previous page, and then you need to continue further.
Sorry, Prabhu, I'm late. If you want me to share, I can also share, Prabhuji.
Already they shared, no problem. Who is sharing it now?
Myself, Rajesh.
Okay, Prabhuji, please continue. Uh, why don't we read? Start reading. Dealings with Mrs. Nair.
Okay.
Shall I read? Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yes, Kamalini Mataji.
Dealing with Mrs. Nair. Encouraged by Prabhupada's presence in Bombay, I was determined to just carry on with the preaching there and not worry about the land.
So the land is still not ours. So the land is still not ours, by the way. It is not it. Yeah, in other words, they had cancelled the agreement. Only the small structure is there where the deities are there. Yes, please continue, Mataji.
If necessary, Prabhupada said, we can simply make Hare Krishna land into a bus stop. We can have many.
Look at the kind of options that he has. That is how,
many bus.
if anything. So this gives a very nice, I mean, uh, 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 dimension of Prabhupada. He is not stuck to this thing that, I have to build a temple. You see, this is how the river flows. We have this example, right? Acharyas flow like that. They don't get stuck that I have to build a temple. No matter what happens, I will have to build it. No, not like that. If they don't give permission, let's just build a bus stop and keep chanting kirtans there. And then they can stand there and distribute books. The funny thing is, one second. Please.
Can't hear you, Prabhu.
Sorry, I just put on mute because I got a phone.
Okay.
No worries. See, the funny thing is, Prabhupada is talking about bus stops. Now there are bus stops to reach Juhu temple. He was thinking of making that land itself into a bus stop because he therefore don't have the permission to build a temple. But in Bangalore, you see that ISKCON temple, there is ISKCON bus stop is there. So many visitors are coming. And there is a metro station in Delhi from where you can go very easily to our Radha Pasha temple. This is to that extent when acharyas make decisions like this, from ahead of time, really ahead of time, like 10 years down the line, 50 years down the line, 100 years down the line, like that. So when they do like that, from our point of view or vision, this will not be very conceivable for us. That's why all the devotees are wondering. Yesterday I was in Juhu temple. When I was in Bombay, from Mirror, I went to the Juhu temple. I was meditating on this book, and I was looking at each and every that marble pillar and however it is all there right now. I was thinking how this would have shaped up over the course of so many years. And crowds, lakhs and lakhs of people are just coming and thronging the temple. They have to make 5 separate lines for people to come and in queue and go in that route. I know some of the devotees would have visited recently also. At that time, this was a very throwaway, like faraway place, rejected place. But now you see, it is just 5 kilometers from the airport. That's the hottest place ever. I mean, hottest spot, not in terms of weather, but in terms of the price and demand. You can't get an inch of land there. So, when Prabhupada has these things, it's all inspired by Krishna. When we had the Rajkot temple also, there was no money at all. And Maharaj built the foundation. And then devotees are wondering, Maharaj, you built the foundation. What about the temple? He said, if Krishna sends the money, we will build the temple, we will build the foundation, we will build the temple. Otherwise, we can dance and chant in the foundation itself. Foundation is enough for us. There is no need for us, there is no need for temple. Only for Krishna and the public, we then need the temples. So he said, really, literally, he did it. When the devotees came, he made all of them do the Harinam Sankirtan in the foundation. He said, now our objective is achieved. The reason for building this foundation was to do devotional service. And that is being done. Continuously, if you do, Krishna will send the money. If you don't do, simply think of building and only look at how I will be able to enjoy, then it will not happen. And he showed it by practice. And now you see the Rajkot temple, it's one of the hardly, I don't know, a handful of temples which has no loans at all. It was not built on any loans. It was built on from penny to this, it was all completely by donations or whatever. But so Maharaj said, whatever money is coming, it will go 100% into the land. And then we'll wait and keep chanting and keep doing kirtans till the next money comes, next amount of comes, donation comes. Then we'll build some more. Like this, we will keep doing. And in fact, you won't believe it. Those who are seeing the temple now will be wondering who built this architecture. We want to find the engineer to build our temple also like this. But unfortunately, we cannot tell one engineer. There are more than 20 plus engineers who changed during the course of time. Anybody who cannot fit in with Maharaj's strictness will run away. They will be shut. Maharaj will say, build the temple first, your money will come. If they demand, then he will say, you get lost. You are doing it for business, you are not doing it for good. So like that, so many, and then they will demand something, Maharaj will say completely, no way, this is what I will give. Whatever you ask, it doesn't matter to me. This is what we can do. He said, Krishna's money we cannot waste like that for your personal things and all. So many of them ran away. Many of them vanished. So it was very challenging for the devotees in charge to bring somebody who is matching with Maharaj's level of expectation. So these are all some things which come because it's not I mean some normal joke that we are building some how should I say, some buildings. Temple is different, buildings are different. So let's read further.
Okay. We can have many buses for distributing our literature, and those buses can go traveling and distributing books, and they can come back to Hare Krishna land, the bus stop, and the devotees can spend a few days and become rejuvenated and get more books and then go out again.
See the plans.
The permit we had for our small temple was only temporary. It had to be renewed every year. Near the end of the first year, when we approached the municipality for a renewal, we did not get any reply. So we wrote them another letter, again without response. Finally, when the permit was about to expire, I took all the relevant papers and went straight to the municipal commissioner at City Hall. I explained the situation. I explained the situation in less than 5 minutes, giving the man a concise account without mention of Mr. Nair or our dispute with him. And based on my explanation and the documentation I had brought, the commissioner granted the year's extension. Just as I was coming out of his office, however, I saw one of Mrs. Nair's agents and I could tell that something was up. So I went straight into the commissioner's secretary's office and induced him to type the permission right then on the spot and get the commissioner's signature. I sat
Because
there and wanted.
if she goes and does some thing there, tricks there, then whatever words the commissioner gave will be just lost. You see.
Yes,
So
Prabhu.
we're so, I mean, to say sensitive to that situation. Yes, Mataji.
I sat I sat there and waited until he returned with the signed document, and then I took it with me and left. But I knew that Mrs. Nair was trying somehow to get the land back. We had also heard rumors that the municipality was planning to demolish the temple. In a letter dated April 28, I wrote to the Santa Cruz Police Department. We are the owners of a Sri Sri Radha Krishna temple at Hare Krishna land at Juhu village. In his letter dated 27th April 73, the Municipal Commissioner of Bombay, Sri M.W. Desai, has informed us that the permission for the shed of Khandelwal steel tube frame, which is the temple, is extended for 1 year. 2 days ago, a man allegedly from the municipal corporation threatened that at 9 or 10 today morning, the municipality would come and demolish said temple. Such an act would be totally illegal since the commissioner himself has assured us that the permission is extended and since the municipality has given us until 29th April 73 to show why the temple should not be demolished, which we have done. Should alleged authorities from the municipality come to demolish the temple, here is
There is likely
there
to
is
be a,
like that first letter I'm not able to see. There is
you have
likely
to
to be
guesstimate, Mataji.
mm, there is
Okay,
likely to
let
be
me read it.
breach of.
Let me read it. Or
Okay,
maybe,
Prabhu.
or
Okay,
maybe
Prabhu.
Gaurav
Okay.
Prabhu can read it because he has the book.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Please read from there.
I'll read it,
From,
Prabhu. I'll read it, Prabhu. The alleged authorities from the municipality come to demolish the temple. There is likely to be a breach of peace and we request you to be on hand to prevent any such disturbance. We also alerted the local devotees and our friends about the danger. Tamal Krishna and his party were traveling in Madhya Pradesh, and I was keeping him informed by post. He would come every now and then just to see how things were going. And a few weeks later, in mid-May, he came for a visit, enlivened and full of stories about his preaching. Around 10 o'clock in the morning of May 18, Tamal Krishna left to rejoin his party, and less than 2 hours after his departure, two large trucks from the Bombay Municipal Corporation drove into Hare Krishna land, and 50 municipal workers carrying crowbars, chisels, and sledgehammers descended on the temple. Following close behind was a big police truck from which 20 or 30 constables emerged. I rushed forward to meet the municipal officers in charge and ask him what was happening, why were they there. He said that the structure was unauthorized and they had come to demolish it. I replied that the temple was authorized and I had the papers to prove it, that I had just had our permit renewed. We have permission, I said. You can't do this. The officer, however, seemed uninterested. Even after I showed him the permit and the letter I had received at City Hall, signed by the municipal commissioner himself, we don't accept your papers, he said, and he ordered the demolition to begin. I approached the
see the
policeman.
kind of this. This is exactly the place where such a crazy thing has happened. You know that uh, uh, they were done something in the background. They given some bribe, that whatever they say, don't care, just go and demolish it. We don't want to, leave them alone. So really, they are demolishing the temple. ETs are there. It's not simply some living place. If it's a guest house or something, we can understand. But it's right there, Radha Rasbihari is there. Imagine the kind of audacity they have. Yes, please continue.
I approached the policeman for help, but was told offhandedly, "We are just here to see that there is no trouble." Actually, they knew that we would try to stop the demolition, and they were there to make sure it continued without interference. What we heard later was that Mrs. Nair had collected 25,000 rupees on the death of her husband and had distributed the money to the municipal corporation
See,
and the police.
25,000 rupees in those days is big amount.
Yes, Prabhu. And the municipal councillor for Juhu, Pushpakant Mhatre, who had been supporting Mr. Nair all along, had arranged for the temple to be demolished.
He's another.
Some workers,
They both are working hand in hand. You see how they are?
some workers put a ladder up against the temple, but when one of them was about to climb up with a sledgehammer to break the roof, I knocked the ladder over. Three
It's a
policemen
real,
grabbed me.
real movie scene is happening. Huh? Even more will come, please.
Three policemen grabbed me, one by each arm and one by the neck, and tossed me into the police truck. Other devotees rushed forward to stop the demolition, but one by one,
Vivek held like this, and three people have held him and threw him into the truck. Please read it further.
other devotees rushed forward to stop the demolition, but one by one, each was apprehended and thrown into the truck. Maybe 20 of us in all. The last one left was Methili, the head pujari. She had locked the doors to the DT chamber and was standing steadfast in front of them, ready to
And
knock
this is
down
not
anyone.
this is not an Indian. She's a Western American body. Yes.
I was carrying the deities, Rajabhog offering, she later recalled. When I saw that there was a lot of policemen surrounding the temple, I dropped the plates and started to run towards the temple. I closed, locked, and bolted the deity room doors, which were up a few steps, and I stood on the top step with my back to the doors. The workers were knocking down the whole roof of the temple hall, including long tube lights, as well as the framed pictures of Krishna. And when they turned to destroy Tulsi, I left my position with my back to the doors and went to the middle of the temple where she was standing from morning because they were going to hit her. And at that point, they grabbed me. I hit one of the officers in the face. Then they all came around me and starting to drag me out of the temple. On the way, I wrapped my elbow around one of the steel tubes supporting the corner of the temple and held on as hard as I could. She was big, strong woman, and they couldn't pry her off. They started hitting my elbow with a stick so I could let go and fell onto the floor of the temple. And then they picked me up by one foot and one braid of my hair and dragged me across the field, which was now full of people watching the whole thing. They carried me halfway along across the field, and as many people watched in horror, threw me face down into the police wagon.
And this is a
When
lady, by the
Prabhupada,
way.
yes,
She might be explaining this. Yes.
when Prabhupada heard that Methili had been kicking and screaming at the policeman as they were dragging her by the hair, he said that she would go back to Godhead kicking and screaming. And
No, actually, Prabhupada is not here by then. You understand? He was told. They were telling him over phone that this is later at a later point. But Maharaj is just including it here. Yes.
Yeah. After Methili had been dragged from the temple, two women, Jagat Purusha's mother-in-law, Yashoda, and another local woman, guarded the deities. And because they were Hindu Indian ladies, the police did not touch them. But other than them, no one, not any of the hundreds of neighbors, tenants, or passerby lifted a finger to help us.
See, this is
When
the
the
sorry state of affairs there. Nobody, they were given so much of sacrifice. The devotees needed to help them, give prasadam or whatever. But at the end of the day, this is the reality. But still, they did not leave. The devotees did not leave their hope in Krishna. Yes, please continue.
When the demolition squad had destroyed or dismantled the entire temple hall except for the steel poles supporting the roof, they called for a blow torch. Meanwhile, some of the neighbors who opposed us had gathered to watch and were laughing and joking together. Matre was standing by the little Shiva temple across the street, and he and his accomplices were enjoying the show. One man who lived across the street, Krishna Rao Rane, stood quite close and was laughing as he watched the worker cutting the steel rods with the blowtorch. Before we arrived on the land, he had distilled illegal liquor there and hid it in the overwagon weeds and bushes. He was quite influential in Jew in a tamasic sort of way and didn't think he would maintain the same power, the same hold on the people with us there.
See,
Yashoda was also
he is having this illegal liquor to show, just to give it as a thing that these people are doing these kind of things in this land, just to give a bad name to people. Yeah.
Yashoda was also something of a mystic, and when she saw the man watching and laughing, she cursed him. Just as you are laughing now, when Krishna's temple is being burnt, one day you will also burn. Only one devotee wasn't Only one devotee wasn't arrested during the demolition. Manasvi. He was crouched behind some bushes, watching the whole thing. When he saw us all being carried away, he found a telephone, called Mr. Mahadevias, and asked him to help. Mr. Mahadevia
Mahadevia is
phoned
one
Bal
of our
Thackeray.
influential person, one of the influential well-wisher.
1 second, Prabhu. Just 1 second.
Rajesh Prabhu, you carry on.
Okay, Pawan. Mr. Mahadevaya
Yeah.
phoned Bal Thackeray, a staunch Hindu and founder and leader of the Shiv Sena, one of Bombay's most powerful political parties, and told him what was happening. If he did not interfere, Mr. Mahadevaya told him the temple would be
Intervene.
destroyed,
Intervene.
and if he did not intervene, Mr. Mahadevaya told him the temple would be destroyed and he would get a bad name. Bal Thackeray phoned the municipal commissioner, informed him of what was taking place, and told him to stop the demolition. The municipal commissioner, being part of the clique that had conspired against the temple, objected. But Bal Thackeray warned him, just remember who this city belongs to. Okay, Bala Sahib. Okay.
One line only. Yeah. It's like that movie dialogue. Just remember who this city belongs to. Don't take panga with me. That's it. No, but that was a help that Balasaheb Thackeray did. He, so he may be, by and large, he may be having his own. It's not very supportive in that sense. I mean, like as you would expect him to. But this is very nice thing that he did. This from. Yes, from.
Okay, Bala Sahib, okay, the commissioner said, and he called the local ward, which had dispatched the attackers, and told them to halt the demolition. The ward officer himself came running, reached the site just as the workers were getting ready to dismantle the deity chamber, and ordered them to stop. They had already completely destroyed the Darshan Mandapa viewing area and had removed the first few pieces of the roof covering the deities. Those of us in the police truck were taken to the Santa Cruz station and locked up in a holding cell. I want to phone my lawyer, I called out. No phone calls, they said. Stay where you are not going anywhere. When Dr. Singhal heard that we had been arrested, he came to the station and appealed to the officer in charge on our behalf. They are not sinful, he said, or criminals, and they are not hypocrites. They are genuine people. We know them. They should be released. The police allowed Dr. Singhal to come inside and see us. The devotees were doing kirtan. His wife recounted, singing and chanting with kartans. They were not sad, except for the deities and the temple. Otherwise, they were happy there. They had full faith in Krishna. Only after several hours were we released from the custody and able to return to the site. When we got back from the police station, we came upon a strange scene. In the middle of a vacant land strewn with rubble and the metal bars that had once supported the temple structure were the beautiful Sri Sri Radha Rasa Bihari dressed in their green and silver outfits and garlanded with flowers. They stood on their carved teakwood altar amid the fragrant scent of burning incense and warm glow of ghee lamps. Only a few small pieces of the roof over them had been removed. Other than that, they and their deity room remained intact. And the picture of Lord Narsimhadev over the altar doors, though slightly tilted to the side, had survived as well, as if he was looking down upon us and assuring us that he had been there to protect the deities. It was amazing, Maithili recalled. The flower that I had put behind the ear of Radha Rasbihari was still there and the ghee lights were still burning. The only offering they had missed was the Rajabhoga offering.
At least she dropped in here, no, when she saw that. That's the only thing she missed. They missed. Hmm. Yeah.
Then the next morning, headlines
See
broadcast the news.
see how the media is putting.
The next morning, the headlines broadcast the news of the temple demolition. Unauthorized temple demolished by municipal authorities, announced the Free Press Journal. The makeshift Radhakrishna temple, constructed about a year ago by followers of the Hare Krishna sect at Nairwadi, Juhu, was demolished by 30 municipal officers amidst police security. This resulted in a clash between members of the Hare Krishna sect and the municipal officers. Matre had arranged for hostile reports about us to appear everywhere, which as we learned, could be achieved by bribing the newspaper people. He
Well,
has
they are
been
not
paying
from this
people off.
country, no. They are not doing that. They are not used to that. Here, anything you can publish, they give money. See, so many new things they had to learn, and how much surrendered they are. See, this is what we should learn from them. They might have so many imperfections, but see the surrender of Maithili Mataji. See the surrender of that devotee who was hiding behind. He was the only one who was available. Even if he was also gone to the police station, nobody would have told Mahadevya, and Mahadev would not have told Bal Thackeray. Got it right? So how much they sacrifice their life? They're ready to go to the jail also, and there they are sitting and listening kirtans. Yes, please.
Matre had arranged for hostile reports about us to every newspaper, which, as we learned, could be achieved by bribing the newspaper people. He had been paying people off and spreading his false propaganda, telling them that we were hippies, drug users, kidnappers, even CIA agents. He raised questions about our charitable status with the charity commissioner, and even more alarming, had approached the foreigners registration office to have us kicked out of India. When Srila Prabhupada was informed of what had happened, he was of course concerned, but he told us not to worry. The episode was part of Krishna's plan, he said, and if we took it as an opportunity, the results would be positive. The demolition of our temple by the municipality would actually strengthen our position.
See how Prabhupada never lost that positive thing. You see, this whole thing. They thought that after Naya's death, things are solved. But it has really gone worse after that only. Until that point, nobody even touched the temple. But you see how they did some click behind the scene, and they could come to this point that they arrested the devotees for no reason. So many things. Yeah.
Still, he told us the incident showed that we could not manage it all on our own. We needed the help of our life members. We should take advantage of the incident to organize them and get them more involved in our activities, along with our other supporters and sympathizers, to publicly protest the attack, expose the persons responsible, and begin the rebuilding process. He suggested several of particular assistants. Mr. Sadaji Vatlal, Sadajivat Lal, who led the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, an organization that defended Hindu Dharma, could help with publicity, and Mr. Sethi could help prevent further attacks. We began
See,
to approach our
one thing
friends.
we have to understand that see these are all the places where we will need help of these other organizations. So it is not that you have that my way or highway kind of a thing with anybody. Krishna is the only personality of God, and you cannot. I mean, if you want, you join us. Otherwise, you get lost. That doesn't work. Here, so many movements had to support our cause there. I know in Bhaktivedanta Commander also, similar situation happened where the neighbors all, Jarjarison gave his farmland and the bungalow. But neighbors were not complaining against us. There was a law, there was a case in the court that we have to be shunted out of that place. So for many years, it was happening like that. And what happened? Finally, they got all the Indian communities there. They will not be Krishna conscious, but they have that sympathetic thing towards Hindu, whatever, right? Whatever way of thinking that. So with them, like even people like this, movie actors like this Rishi Kapoor, then this cricketer Sunil Gavaskar, they all joined the procession. There are pictures of them joining the procession to protect and allow the worship to continue there. And very soon, when it became a big news, they granted permission for Menon to be there. When the devotees to continue things as normal. So what it shows here is Prabhupada is utilizing everybody in Krishna's service as and when needed. Even those who are not, eager about this thing. Yes, here is where you can help. You may not be ready to chant. You may not be ready to do donation, but here is where you can offer your support. Render your voice. Give your voice for us, isn't it? Now people are telling, well, RSS is like this, RSS is like that, or say VHP is like this, so on. But you see, whenever, because now at that time ISKCON didn't have such a big name. Now ISKCON is a very well-known name all over the world by Prabhupada's mercy and all the other devotees' endeavors. So now we don't have so much of a difficulty. But even then, whenever we have trouble, we can always take help from them. They are ready to help, right? In Maharashtra, now, if you see, yes, Chitra Mataji knows it very well, Gaurav Prabhu knows it very well, Suresh Prabhu knows it. Uh, this RSS is a very good rapport. I mean, ISKCON has many of the RSS shakas are people go and distribute prasadam. They may have a different philosophy, doesn't matter, but there are common points where they can definitely connect with us. That's how Prabhupada extracted a service from everybody. You see, let's continue.
We began to approach our friends and life members. Prabhupada himself sent an open letter, which we published in the next edition of the Hare Krishna Monthly. The Krishna consciousness movement is considerably well known all over the world, he began. This movement is meant for the total reformation of the whole human society. It is not a sectarian religious movement, but is a scientific method to awaken dormant God consciousness in
Now,
every
Prabhupada
human
is
being.
using this opportunity to preach. The more opposition is there, he's using this to preach. I remember way back in 97, immediately after the ISKCON Bangalore temple, the Rajajinagar temple, no Rajesh Prabhu, when the temple was open, actually, um, when the temple was open, within a very few months, one boy from Calcutta, I think he ran away from home or told his parents, whatever, I don't know. But he came to Bangalore temple. He came for a visit, but he liked it so much that he wanted to settle there. So he stayed as a brahmachari in the brahmachari ashram for 1 month or something. In the meantime, the parents came and they shouted and they said, we have to go to the court and all that. And then they started complaining that they're putting the false news that ISKCON is snatching or kidnapping boys from homes and making them into hippies or whatever. So, and one more thing they said is that they are adding something in the prasadam which is hypnotizing them. So you have to really check. This is like way back in 97, I'm talking about 96, 97. So what did the temple president and all the devotees do? What did they do? Is that they took that opportunity and we went near Kaban Park and we had a long procession from the Kaban Park to the police commissioner's office doing kirtans and we went lodging with all the boats, carrying boats and everything. And the temple president gave the letter to the commissioner. Then we all said, you please have to take action and we returned back. Within a few days, the problem got solved. But people were remembering the Harinam Sankirtan more than the actual problem itself. Because that's what we did in the main areas of Bangalore. So this is Prabhupada's transcendental trick. He takes advantage of any situation to preach. Yes, please.
In 1965, I went to the States, and for more than 1 year, I had no support there. Later on, by July 1966, some of the younger sections
This is
of
Prabhupada is telling
America
this.
had joined me, and they supported this movement wholeheartedly. Our basic principle is the Bhagavad Gita as it is. After organizing this movement in America, Europe, Canada, Australia, etc., I came back to India in 1970 with a group of American assistants. With this purpose, I took the Hare Krishna land. He then reported the latest development that the Bombay municipality, under the influence of Mrs. Nair, had the audacity to smash our temple against the law and principle of religious faith. So a great clique is going on in Bombay to drive us away from the land without returning our money or compensation for damages.
So one thing that is with us is that Nair has not given us back the money. So Prabhupada, what he's saying is, you give us the money, we will get. Nair did, he has no money to give. So what has happened is, Nair got money from everywhere else, thinking that when this money comes, he will pay off those debts. You understand? For his so many other things that he has, schemes he had. So he died without getting this getting this full money. They cancelled it, the agreement. So all those loans were standing there. So Mrs. Nair is in a dire trouble to get this thing back. I mean, give the money back to them. So only if she gets this land legally on her name, she can sell it off um, and pay off the other people to whom she owes. You understand? So that is why she's doing all these things. Maybe one of the main reasons. Please continue.
We have many sympathizers and life members of our society, and I wish they may come forward to help us in this precarious position and save the situation. Our cause is so noble, scientific, and pure that everyone, irrespective of caste, creed, and religion, should come forward and save us from this position. I hope that my appeal to the people of Bombay will not go in vain. As I was busy with other aspects of our effort, Hari Kesha had volunteered to publish a special demolition issue with a photo of the demolished temple wrapped around the front and back covers and the heading Religiosity in Shambles. Sajadevat Lal put his whole heart into the temple campaign and helped us arrange a meeting of all our Bombay Life members downtown in Kama Hall. Only 12 or 15 showed up, but I read Prabhupada's letter and Sadajivat Lal gave a strong keynote speech and urged members to get involved and to write letters to the mayor of Bombay. He was a very powerful speaker, Sridhar recalled, and I remember him slamming on the podium. The temple must come up. The temple will come up. He was fired up. Sadaji was a pretty inspired person. He always supported Hindu causes, and this was a big thing for him.
So he's a normal person. He's not like a devotee as such, yet, but he is trying to help. Yeah.
Sadajivat Lal gave us the use of his entire downtown office and enlisted the considerable weight of his wide range of friends and associates. Mr. Vinod Gupta, a member of Jana Sangha political party, which was committed to maintaining India's Hindu culture, joined with Kartikeya Mahadevaya and others to form a Save the Temple committee and published a leaflet declaring ISKCON to be a bona fide Hindu organization. Shri Sarkar Singh of the Hindu Mahasabha threatened to go on a fast if the temple was not reconstructed. For more than 12 hours every day, assisted by Save the Temple committee members, we made phone calls, wrote letters, issued circulars, contacted newspapers, met with influential citizens and government officials, and generally approached as many people as possible.
See, when all these things are going on, you understand one thing. When all these things are going on, Prabhupada is doing his world tour. So, he's not stuck there. He's doing his world tour. He's building Vrindavan temple, he's building Hawaii temple, he's building Las Angeles temple. So many things he's doing while this thing is going on. Yes.
We also set to work. Yes, Mataji, thank you.
Yes, Mataji, please.
We also set to work.
Yes, go ahead.
I have that script. We also set to work on getting permissions to rebuild the temple. There was a hole in the roof of the deity room over where the pujaris stood to do the arti. Maithili recounted. And until we got that part fixed, I had to stand in the rain when offering Aarti. I remember Giriraj standing in front of Sri Sri Radha Rasa Bihari with an umbrella for Mangal Aarti until the temple hall was repaired. Under the circumstances, Prabhupada had directed we should immediately reconstruct the deity's shade. Barbed wire fencing should be immediately done to cover the naked land. And if possible, immediately in front of the deity's shade, a temporary pandal should be constructed with our materials. If it is so done, then I can go to Bombay and begin Bhagavad Parayan discourse to continue until the court decision is there. This is my desire.
Here also
And
he's thinking about preaching only.
yeah.
Somehow or other, get the preaching moving. Yes.
Until the demolition, we had been at war with the municipality and losing the fight for public opinion. Both the newspapers and the municipal council had been manipulated by Mhatre, and almost all the press was negative, if not hostile. The
Sensationalist.
sensational,
Yes.
sensationalist tabloid Blitz, for instance, is in an article headlined Hare Krishna hoax, called ISKCON a ludicrous cult, and the devotees alien buffoons, and claimed that we were being funded by US government. But Sadajit Wala,
Sada
Sajadi
Jivatlal. Sada Jivatlal.
Sadajivat Lal and I, or he with Yadubara and Vishakha, if I was busy, went to
If
speak
those
with
who don't
municipal.
know, Yadubar Prabhu is Prabhupada disciple. He and his wife Vishaka Mataji, they are long time. They are the ones who were taking videos, and they are famous as the videos and interviews of Prabhupada, memories of Prabhupada. So many things they have done in terms of the this media system. Yeah, and they are from they are Americans basically. Yes.
Yadubara and Vishakha, if I was busy, went to speak with the municipal councillors individually to explain the true situation and convince them that they should grant permission for the temple's reconstruction. Between us, we met with practically every one of the 140 municipal councillors,
My
and they
God.
began and they began to see who we really were and started showing sympathy for our cause.
How much?
Vamandra
140 municipal councillors, huh? And you have to see them all one by one. They won't just come in group. They are all like this government mafias.
Vamandra Mahadik, a member of the council's standing committee, the most powerful committee in the Bombay Municipal Corporation, was incensed by the demolition, which he called illegal. He wrote a letter to the chairman urging that the committee adjourns for the short time in protest against the ruthless action on the part of municipal administration in demolishing the Radha Krishna Mandir without prior intimation to the concerned persons, and even after granting a temporary permission by municipal commissioner on 27th April 1973. And further, that during the course of the demolition operation, the persons concerned with the said temple were kept in the police custody for about more than an hour, and that they were not allowed even to establish telephone contacts, and that one of the ladies was manhandled. The temple, he argued, should be rebuilt at municipal cost and permitted to stand until the court reaches its decision on the land dispute. The partial demolition of a temporary steel shed of Hare Krishna temple of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness by the civic authority on Friday had raised a controversy. The Times of India reported, and the Bombay Municipal Commissioner had promised an inquiry into the matter.
So,
To
Mataji,
protest,
we will stop here because, okay, two more paragraphs we can do. Until that pro promised that until that point we can do.
against the action of the civic administration for demolishing the shade for which a year's permission was granted last month, the standing committee adjourned for 5 minutes. Mr. Mahadik said, What surprised him most was that unauthorized structures on the municipal and government lands were tolerated by the administrator, and asked whether the commissioner had taken action ignoring all the procedural rules because of the pressure from someone Probes promised.
We'll stop here. Very nice thing with the heading, promised. We will carry on reading further. So, how do you feel about this, Prabhu? I just want to hear from you for a couple of minutes. How do you feel about it?
So much struggle they had to go through, everybody.
But they were all so bold and ready to face anything, Prabhu, because Prabhupada has instilled in them that Krishna will take care. We have to do
Yeah.
what we have to do. So
Very
that
brave.
confidence.
Prabhupada was
Yeah.
so brave. Prabhupada was so brave. They got that same energy from his purity and thank you. And yeah, I saw Rakesh. You are raising your hand.
Yeah, what I can understand is, uh, yeah, one side we can see it as struggle, but on the other side, how I look at it is, it's actually giving us a lot of experiential wealth, and I think
Lot of what?
it's giving us a lot of experiential wealth. I mean, it's a experience we are going through, and I mean, I don't want to bring the corporate slang here, but somewhere like when Narayan Murthy was interviewed many years back, he said like even if Infosys goes away, he can rebuild it back, right? So
Yeah.
something along those lines. So I felt
Yeah. Yeah. Good point, Prabhu. Yes, thank you. Suresh Prabhu. Suresh Prabhu, you raised your hand. We're not able to hear you. It's like he's not able to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, go ahead. It was breaking.
Yeah, we will breaking.
Breaking, Prabhu.
Okay,
We're not able to hear you clearly. Maybe you can type, Prabhu. Is that
still breaking, Prabhu?
little better, Prabhu? Now, can you speak again?
Our devotion life is just not chanting and sitting one place, and it's not that we have to do much more than that to save the Krishna and to save the organization, to save the prestige of the organization and all that. That's what I heard.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Yes. And that is why we are doing it. We are not attached to that organization from an external point of view. We see the value of the movement in terms of what it brings as a remedy to the world sufferings. You see, if not, how can people be saved? That is very important. And we are not doing it like in a sentimental way. It's not a sentimental thing. It is based on our experience, own experience, anubhava, and scriptural conclusions as well, right? So, thank you, Prabhu, for that. Yes, now we have two more hands raised, Shiva Prabhu and Gaurav Prabhu.
yes, Prabhu. Shiva Prabhu, you will say, or should I continue, Prabhu?
You go ahead, Gaurav Prabhu.
Okay. So, Prabhu, I was remembering, I mean, well, when this demolition episode was happening, so one time Prabhupada was hearing a lecture of his own disciple. I mean, then it was said that Krishna is in the deity. Then Prabhupada said, Krishna is the deity.
Yeah.
He is the deity. So what I could see is like, I mean, the devotee's faith was so firm that he rather asked where he is there, right? I mean, I mean, for us, I mean, we will. I mean, if I talk about myself, I mean, we'll run for our life if something like this happens, right? But for, I mean, having such faith that Krishna is there and he needs to be saved. So that is the kind of faith I mean aspiring for, Prabhuji. So I mean, amazing to hear that about Maithili Mataji. I mean,
Yeah.
having that power and tolerating such things. And in fact, the laws were not that strong for women that time, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it would have been used as well.
And secondly,
So,
you see that nobody was supporting. Nobody
yes,
was
Prabhu.
supporting in any way. That's a pathetic thing there.
And in fact, people laughing, Prabhuji, on top of that. People are
Yeah.
laughing and
To make it fun.
doing all such kind of things. So it is really, Prabhu, inspiring. I mean, such experiences, not only, I mean,
That is why
it
this
shows
that
us.
is why this goes into the that is why it goes into the folklore of ISKCON history. This particular temple, the history, it can even be taken into the movie from this book. They can make a big drama out of it. I think definitely Pune devotees will come up with a drama next year.
There is a drama, in fact, Prabhuji. It's about Balaji. There is a
I
mega
know.
drama in.
I just
Yes, Prabhuji.
came back from Mumbai and they are doing 4 dramas in 2 days. And it's
Yes,
a
Prabhu.
huge as usual day also. I mean, whatever.
And that's why the story is in the form of a book, Prabhu. There are many other temples, but there is no book for the for other temples. There is only book for Juhu temple, Prabhu.
Yeah,
So that is what is making it different, Prabhuji, and
yeah.
really inspiring and amazing, Prabhuji. Yes.
And yeah. And we have Krishnavedi Mataji who just stays 2 kilometers from the temple. Every day they go to the temple and they are so much attached to the service. Service there. Yesterday also I was there at their home and Prabhuji took me to the temple. And when you look at every single pillar, every single that marble thing, every inch of that temple is built with the blood of Prabhupada and devotees. How much sacrifice they had to do. Even Mayapur, for that matter. There is so much. In fact, there people come with guns to shoot. Bhakti Raghuvar has lost his leg there, protecting the deities. That is what this tool is so much painful. Yes, Prabhu. Shiva Prabhu, I need to close, so I just quickly let's finish it off. Shiva Prabhu.
I'll finish in just 30 seconds. Prabhuji, if you compare in material world, our grandparents, fathers, they have accumulated so much of wealth and passed on to us. That's why we are so fortunate. Similarly, in spiritual form, Prabhupada, Maharajas, they have struggled so much to give a leisure for us now. So we should
Yeah,
always think and we should utilize their hard work.
yeah.
So it's
That
so easy
constant
for
remembrance of their sacrifice is really a good thing, Prabhu. Positive thing for us. Thank you
that.
for that.
That's about it.
Thank you. So we'll stop here, Prabhu's Mataji's. I'm in another devotee's house and he just had a Bhagavatam reading and I continued on here because I couldn't go back home in time. And so I'll stop here. Krishna wedding will continue. Maybe this Wednesday we'll have, most probably this Wednesday we'll have our Bhagavatam session again, Narmuni. And then, if possible, we'll have one other session on this particular on this book because we stopped at a point where it's like interval time, you have a first half, second half kind of thing, right? We need to know what's happening out there. So maybe Thursday we'll have okay, as in our normal time. Because we skipped one day, I thought it would be good to start off today's thing with this. Thank you, Prabhu, Mataji. It's so nice of you to join
Hare
short time.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We'll
Dandavata
catch up
Pranam, Prabhu.
soon. Hare Krishna. Dandavad Pranam and wish you all a very
Hare
happy New Year
Krishna,
today. Let's all have a nice, wonderful, devotional year ahead. The new year is only for today. From tomorrow, it becomes old year.
Prabhu.